It can be tabled. Question number 1 in the name of Kevin Hague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Health and asks, does he think fraud in the publicly funded health sector is serious, and if so, would he investigate any allegations of fraud if they were raised with him?
Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr. Speaker, yes and yes. In relation to the dispute between the Southern DHB and the Dunedin GP organisation Southlink Health, this matter has been under dispute for over a decade. It involves an argument over $5 or $6 million of savings generated through laboratory and pharmaceutical contracts during the 1990s, and whether or not there was an agreement on how those services would be reinvested back into health services. This has remained a complex dispute. The DHB has advised me that they've received advice that it's best to pursue this as a commercial matter, but it has also referred the issue to specialist forensic accountants to see whether any illegality was involved.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
When did the Minister first become aware of concerns that Southlink Health may have misused public funds in excess of $5 million, which were intended for patient services but were instead spent on other things without authorisation?
Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr. Speaker, to the best of my recollection and the advice that I have received, I became aware of that issue in November 2013 as a result of a management letter from the Auditor General. On the wider issue of the dispute, I'd been aware of that for quite some time.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
Is the Minister quite sure that he was not made aware of it in 2010 and briefed on the legal advice that had been received by the Southern DHB that suggested that there was the possibility of fraud?
Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr. Speaker, I have no recollection of that, and we've got no record of such a briefing in our office.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
Isn't it true that even though he knew the Southern DHB had legal advice that fraud may have occurred, he, as Minister, personally discouraged the DHB not to take this allegation to police in 2010?
Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr. Speaker, I don't have any recollection of being aware of it, so I can't have actively discouraged the District Health Board. What I would have required, of course, is for the District Health Board to act on whatever advice they had. I am advised that that letter of November 2010 it was not clear-cut, and it actually says there could be elements of fraud or there could be elements of commercial dispute.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
Isn't it true that even though the DHB had repeatedly asked for assistance from the Ministry of Health on this matter, beginning in December 2010, no ministry action at all was taken until it became clear that the Office of the Auditor General was going to refer to potential fraud in its report on Southern DHB in 2013?
Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr. Speaker, that's not the information that I've received. My understanding was that the matter was considered by the audit and compliance people at the Ministry of Health, and that there were negotiations which I think the Ministry was involved in trying to facilitate in 2011, but didn't go anywhere.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
What interactions did the Minister have with the Office of the Auditor General over its management letter to the DHB in 2013, and what was he seeking?
Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr. Speaker, when I received that management letter, I then asked for a meeting with the Auditor General to discuss their concerns further, to get a better understanding of the information and concerns that they had. I was able to discuss those with the Chair of the District Health Board, and as he advised the Select Committee today, my strongest advice to him was that if they believed there was sufficient evidence of fraud, then they should refer that to the Serious Fraud Office.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
What dealings has he had with Southlink Health since he was made aware of these allegations of potential fraud in 2010?
Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr. Speaker, I have no recollection of being made aware of those, and there is no record of it. What I can say to the member is I have met South-Link Health on a number of occasions since they are a leading GP organisation.
Supplementary.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
Why, given that a massive question mark ought to have remained in his mind about a potential fraud, did he in June 2012 describe the Executive Director of South-Link Health, Professor Murray Tilliard, as having great entrepreneurialism and innovation and being a prophet in his own land?
Mr.
Honourable Tony
Mr.
Ryall.
Speaker, the member can sort of cast as many aspersions as he likes and make allegations. When I became aware, when the management letter of the issue of fraud, I met as soon as I could with the Auditor-General, and I've made it very clear to the Chairman of the Southern District Health Board that if he believes that there is sufficient evidence of fraud, then it must be referred quickly to the Serious Fraud Office. And as the member will know from my earlier answer, it has been referred to forensic auditors for that very purpose.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Kevin Hague.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to table a page from the New Zealand Doctor website. Mr. Speaker, it's protected behind a paywall, so most members will not have access to it. It's entitled South-Link Groups in Growth Phase, and it refers to the Minister's interaction that has those quotes.
Order. Leave us sought to table that particular document that's not easily available to members. Is there any objection to that being tabled? There is none. It can
Supplementary question, Mr.
Supplementary
Speaker.
question, the Honourable Annette.
In his meeting with the Auditor-General, did he seek at any time to have any mention of the word fraud removed from the Audit Office report to the Select Committee?
Honourable Tony
Mr.
Ryall.
Speaker, it's not the responsibility of the Minister of Health to direct the Auditor-General what they did. No, I have no recollection of asking them to withdraw fraud. And the member can cast as many stones as she likes, but actually she was the Minister at the time that most of this contract stuff was happening.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Order. 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 I have a point of order that I want to hear in silence.
I seek leave to show, in fact, this problem started in 95,
Order.
96 and finished around 2002.
Order. That is using the point of order system simply to continue a political debate. The member's got a question coming up shortly. She should use that opportunity in the supplementary questions to continue the debate. Question number 2, Honourable Annette.
On a totally another issue, Mr. Speaker.